welcome to this edition of Alabama Law TV. My name is Cindy Speaker. I have with me today Attorney Nathan Guin from Gardberg Kemmerly's Attorneys at Law. They're located, headquartered in Mobile, Alabama. They handle veterans' disability cases throughout the country. Nathan, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me again. I always enjoy it and glad to spread some good information to our veterans.
Yes, it's very helpful. We've got an archive for those of you watching now. There's an archive of information on Facebook, the videos on Facebook. Nathan has presented many times on various aspects of veterans disability law. Very, very helpful. So today we're going to talk about a new topic, one that I'm not familiar with, and that is lay evidence. So why don't you start off by telling us what is lay evidence, what constitutes lay evidence in a veterans disability claim?
Okay, so in a veterans disability claim, lay evidence is basically any evidence and all evidence that is not medical. So if you have a statement from the veteran, a statement from his family members, friends, people that they served with, any kind of statement regarding the veteran's condition or things that happened in the past, anyone who's not a medical professional but would have personal knowledge regarding the veteran's either current condition or in-service injury, things like that. It'd be any kind of non-medical expert that can provide some kind of information that's pertinent to the claim.
And in what types of cases is that valuable?
So they're valuable. They're really, they're valuable in all cases, and I think that sometimes it's undervalued. I think a lot of times that they're used for service connection, which is really helpful, especially when you have, especially Vietnam veterans, things like that, where there's, if you're in the jungle, there's not a lot of good records keeping. So if you can find somebody who says, I was there when Joe broke his leg in the jungle, and there's no records of it, but I know it happened, that can be really helpful. But it also can be used. I think it's underutilized in unemployability cases and also in increased cases, because at that point you're already service connected, and so lay evidence can be really valuable in terms of capturing things that you can't really see in medical records. What kind of functional limitations an orthopedic condition might cause, what if a veteran has PTSD and his wife wants to write a statement, if she thinks that his symptoms have gotten worse, he underreports, to his medical provider. That's really helpful evidence, because that's someone who lives with him every day, who may see some things that they don't see in themselves. And so that they can be helpful in any type of case. And I think they're sometimes underutilized.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, what are the VA's duties regarding the evaluation and analysis of lay evidence?
So they're required to consider all lay evidence, and they have to assess the credibility, and they can weigh it in any way they see fit. They just have to give you reasons and bases for how they weigh that evidence. They also can't just dismiss. There's certain levels of consideration they have to give. For example, just because there's no contemporaneous or medical evidence that confirms what the lay evidence says, or there's not any documentary evidence other than the statement of either the veteran or whoever it may be, they can't just dismiss that out of hand. They can't say, well, there's nothing else to support that, therefore the lay evidence is not probative, it's not credible, there's nothing we can do there. So they have to give it a good bit of deference and really have to look into it. Now they can analyze it for negatives too, which I think we can kind of get into in a little bit, but they really have to treat it as if it's any other piece of evidence, medical evidence or otherwise. They have to give it its full consideration, even if the record doesn't necessarily bear out that or confirm or corroborate, which is not probably the best word, but what's being said in the statement.
Yeah. And when is the best time to develop the lay evidence?
So any time is good. The earlier, the better. So especially the way things are now, and I guess even the way they will be, the earlier you can get evidence in, I think is always the best, because, when you start at the beginning, that's when you can maximize your opportunities in terms of how many times you can appeal, how many different people can lay eyes on a particular piece of evidence. So there's no time that's too early. You can get lay evidence even when you file it with your original claim. You don't have to wait until you get denied. You want to get that in the hands of somebody who can see it as quickly as possible. So, as you're going along, if you think about it, just even in passing on a regular day, say, this person may be able to give some information. I mean, at any point it's valuable, but the earlier, I would say, the better.
Yeah. And it kind of brings up another point, as with all of these claims, it's so important for the veteran to be documenting things, right?
Absolutely. So documenting everything that you can, or just even you don't have to write it down, but just remembering things that
Yeah.
functionally, if you around the house that you can't do, especially when you go see your doctors, because a lot of the times, at any given appointment, you can be having a better day than any other, and so it may not be kind of borne out in the records, what the real disability picture is. So
Yeah.
documenting different things and having people in your life that maybe have a more objective view. I know
Yeah.
that if you asked me and my wife to write down, if you asked me to write what was wrong with me and ask her to write the same thing, we'd probably come up with completely different answers.
Yeah.
And hers might be more extensive than mine. And so that's the case with veterans claims too. A lot of times, we don't want to see things in ourselves that we don't want to see. So
Yeah.
we have to rely on other people to put that out there for us.
That's a great point. That's a great point. What challenges can the VA bring to reduce the credibility or value of lay evidence?
So they can evaluate it for basically bias. If there's credibility,
Okay.
they can affect the credibility if they think that you're really just kind of, for lack of a better term, hamming it up just to kind of help out whoever it is you're trying to help out. So
Yeah.
they can look at it from a critical perspective, but it has to be. They still have to give you a reason or basis for how they weigh your evidence. If they think it lacks credibility, why does it lack credibility? But they can always, just because they're have to consider it doesn't mean they can't discount it, but they have to really point to a concrete reason as to why that lay evidence is either not
Yeah.
credible or fraudulent or embellished, whatever you want to say.
Right.
So they can kind of look at it as far as anything else too.
Yeah. Complicated stuff.
It is. I wish that we could go for hours on some of this stuff. So hopefully, I'm getting some good information out there, because we could really get in the weeds pretty quick on some of this stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
hopefully, this makes sense.
Well, now, if someone has questions and concerns, how can they reach you? How can they reach Gardberg and Kemmerly?
Well, they can comment on this video. So if you're watching right now, just put your questions in the comment box below, and we'll get an answer to you as quickly as we possibly can. You can call us in Mobile at 251-343-1111, or you can find us at guardburglaw.com. That's GARDBERGLAW.com. And again, we're in Alabama, we're in Mobile, but we're all accredited through the VA, and so we can practice in any regional office throughout the country. So if you're in Montana, you're in California, you're in Maine, you need an attorney, you can't find one, we can still help you out from Mobile. So don't hesitate to give us a call, or send us an email, and we'll be more than happy to evaluate your case.
That is great. Great information. So
Thank you.
Nathan, once again, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be on any time.
It's awesome. Well, I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so as Nathan said, to those of you watching, you can leave comments right on this page. We'll get back to you, answer your questions. Feel free to just list those comments there, and we will see you all again soon. Thanks, everybody.